a sleep disorder above all else. So when your brain, it gets dark outside, your brain goes, it's time for sleep now. And when it's light outside, your brain goes, it's wake up time. Mine doesn't do that. Mine thinks it's sleepy time all of the time. And whether I get 6 hours of sleep, 2 hours of sleep, 12 hours of sleep, I will wake up every day for the rest of my life just as tired as when I went to sleep. So forever more tired. It's something you get in your late teens, early 20s typically. And so I do remember what it was like before I was tired, which it'd probably be easier if I didn't remember how everybody else feels. It's debilitating. It really sucks. I'm not going to pretend. And I figured out a lot of strategies, coping mechanisms, and ways to be able to acknowledge this sucks. It's also my reality. Now what?
Do you remember me? I am the part of you that is wise and alive, that is pure love and beyond your limiting mind. I am the you that is inspired, the you that is creative, the you that has true power. Are you ready to remember you?
Hello, and welcome to Remembering You, the show. I am your host, Elie La Liberté, and I am a published author of 2 spiritual books. And this show is associated with my new book, Letters from You to You, Awaken Your Power Through Conversations with Your Higher Self. This show is about reconnecting to your power, the truth of who you really are. The guests on this show are authentic human beings who have stories to share with us about how they navigated through difficult challenges and illnesses, and also how they uncovered the higher part of themselves. May you feel inspired to go into your own healing journey and remember who you really are. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Remembering You, the show. I am your host, Elie La Liberté, and today I have a really awesome guest with me. Her name is Michelle Weger. She is from my area, Ottawa, Ontario. So I'm super excited to speak to her today. Thank you, Michelle, for being on the show.
Hi, this is going to be awesome.
It will be awesome. So Michelle and I actually know each other. We don't know each other super well yet, but we are fellow authors with a really cool community of authors, and we got to know a little bit more about our stories. And you are actually in the process of publishing is it your first book that you're going to be publishing?
Ooh, so technically it's the second, but
Okay.
only my parents know about the first, basically.
Oh, wow.
So when I was in grade 2 or grade 1, I had a short story published in a book. I won a contest. I got a whole $100 gift card from Staples, which when you're 7, that's a lot of money. So technically this is the second book.
Nice. That's awesome. Cool. So yeah, so you have your book coming out, I don't know when exactly, but very, very soon it's going to be published on Amazon.
Yeah.
Do you have a release date already, or?
Middle of September 2024.
Okay, September. Perfect. It's so
Soon.
exciting.
Yeah.
So we're going through similar kind of phases, and we can really relate to each other because of that. So it's so cool. And I have been privileged enough to be able to read your book before everybody else on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I really love, just man, your story is so cool. And I sometimes in my life I'm a little bit, I'm not going to say ignorant, but sometimes I just don't I don't get informed with everything. And so I was not even aware of this condition that you still have to this day, right?
Yeah.
That you have just navigated so beautifully. And this is what you're explaining in your book. And it really, really captivated me. And because I'm aware of this now, of this condition, and I'm going to let you say what it is just because I'm always missing out the word. But
Yeah.
because I'm aware of this now, it's kind of like, wow, this is something else that I seriously didn't even know like that it was a thing, and now I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I would deal with this in my own life, and the thing too that I have with the awareness that I got is I have a tendency to feel tired sometimes and to remind myself that I'm tired. And and now it's like after reading your book, I'm like, I am just gonna stop saying that I'm tired because there are people out there
Oh,
way more tired than me. And
oh,
they,
that's so cute.
and you're not even complaining about it. You're navigating it so well. So can you please go ahead and tell us what this beautiful story is,
Absolutely.
because it is beautiful because how you've dealt with all of it and your resilience throughout all of it. So I would love for you to inspire everyone with this and just go ahead from the beginning and tell us what it is.
So I'll start by saying the condition, the disability is narcolepsy, which Ellie, in her cute French accent, says so adorably, which is why she won't say it for you on here. And it's a sleep disorder. Most people don't know about it. I have a service dog for it, and on her vest, it's written narcolepsy. And maybe 1 out of 10 people will be like, oh my gosh, you're the first one I've met, or I didn't know that was real.
Mm.
A lot of people think that it's epilepsy misspelled or I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's a sleep disorder above all else. So when your brain, it gets dark outside, your brain goes, it's time for sleep now. And when it's light outside, your brain goes, it's wake up time.
Mm.
Mine doesn't do that. Mine thinks it's sleepy time all the time. And whether I get 6 hours of sleep, 2 hours of sleep, 12 hours of sleep, I will wake up every day for the rest of my life just as tired as when I went to sleep. So forever more tired. It's something you get in your late teens, early 20s, typically. And so I do remember what it was like before I was tired, which it'd probably be easier if I didn't remember how everybody else feels.
Mm-hmm.
It's debilitating. It really sucks. I'm not going to pretend. And I figured out a lot of strategies, coping mechanisms, and ways to be able to acknowledge this sucks. It's also my reality. Now what?
Yeah.
Rather than staying stuck. And it's normal, right? When you first get diagnosed with something or something bad, whether it's medical or otherwise happens, it's normal to pause at that point. And I'm not saying, first of all, I didn't immediately, jump into action the same day. As I said in the book, when I got diagnosed, went through a grieving period, just like any other loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
The loss of who I thought I was going to be and the person I'd planned to be, a airplane flying neurosurgeon. That was the plan. As glamorous as that is, well, you can't be falling asleep and doing surgery on people's brains, right? It doesn't matter how smart you are. You can't be flying planes if you're going to fall asleep. Doesn't matter how interested or skilled you are. And so all of that vision I had for me was gone.
Mm-hmm.
It was no longer possible. And I had to grieve that and then figure out, how do I still be successful? What are things that I can do? And, how do I move forward differently? And I've done that very well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I'm excited to know all of that. I want to know, or at least I want I want you to tell us all about how did you, because that's a really interesting story, and there's a lot of synchronicity. That's what I'm going to say with your friend as well. So I'd like for you to share that part when you were just really tired, and then you met someone who actually made you go and get yourself tested to see if you had this. So yeah,
Yeah.
can you share that? Because that part of the book, I was like, wow, is the
Wow.
Why was the universe always there? And there's so many parts in your book, but
Uh-huh.
that part was there. We're so connected.
I
And
know.
if
I've
you
got
don't,
so many chills right now, and it's my own story. It's my own
yeah,
life.
it's
But
insane. So
that's
go ahead and say that because that's crazy.
yeah. So the universe always has your back. That is fact. And this, how I ended up getting diagnosed, is a beautiful example of that. So I had been trying to figure out why I was so tired, why I was falling asleep in public, that level of tired, for 5 years.
Mm.
And it wasn't going anywhere. All the tests, iron, thyroid, depression, it all came back normal. But I was not normal. And then one day I met someone at we were both models at the time. This was many years ago now. And at the end, we hit it off. Her name was Becky. And at the end, I found out she didn't have a drive home because she wasn't allowed to drive because she had this thing called narcolepsy. And like you, Ellie, I'd never heard about it before that point. So she was telling me about it. And despite the fact that I also have it wasn't really resonating with me. It just, my brain wouldn't let me see it.
Yeah.
For some reason, even though it was such a clear example. And it wasn't until many, many months later, as we became close friends and had sleepovers and spent all kinds of days together, as you do, that she pointed out to me, look, you've got narcolepsy, and I'm sure of it. And I still didn't believe her. So we actually made a bet. We made a deal. She, because she was so stubborn, and thank goodness, told me that if I went and got a sleep test and I was wrong, or if she was wrong, then she would buy the snacks for every sleepover forever. Which, when you're 20, that's a lot. Like, neither of us were making much money back then. Like, that was a big bet.
Yeah.
And if she was right, then I had to name her forevermore as Becky, my friend, who was the reason I got diagnosed with narcolepsy, because I went and got that sleep test and she was right. I do have narcolepsy. So given how rare it is, 1 in 2,000 people, the chance that and we were at this modeling thing assigned into pairs. There was, maybe 10 different girls there, and the 2 of us got randomly paired on that day in that place. And I was asked last minute to fill a spot. Like, all of it so too coincidental for it not to have been meant to be.
Yeah, no, that was just insane. It's so beautiful though. That's what I'm saying. We're so connected,
Yeah.
So you had a lot of help from the universe with this, and you were talking about as well the fact that it was a grieving process for you because now you were diagnosed, and so now you were going to automatically, unfortunately, identify with this um, you know condition, and make it as, oh no, like this is now my life, sort of thing, right? So how did you kind of like navigated that part where you were like, oh my God, like now this is my life, and what does that mean? And then you went into, because obviously you did this identify in a sense from it, because you do have it, but you're very, very, you've built something beautiful now with your business and everything. So, and the things that you went through too, with the shame that you had, and you overcame that and all of it. And please also just let us know, like, this is related to your book. Your book is called
Don't snooze your
Don't
snooze your dreams.
dreams. Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's all related to, you didn't want to snooze your own dreams, even though you had that, right? So I'd like for you to tell us a little bit more, like what happened after you got this news, and how did you react, and how did you navigate this?
Yeah. So I'm so lucky that I have the best mother ever, ever. And not only is she incredibly loving, she also at the time was a social worker in neurology, which narcolepsy is related to the brain, at the hospital. So of all of the people to be my mother, it happened to be the person who would help people with this type of situation. Helping to get resources, helping to work through it. So that was a huge gift in and of itself. The fact that the first person I talked to, and in fact, the person I was with when I opened the letter from the ministry that told me I'm not allowed to drive anymore, her and I were at lunch at the time. I knew what that letter was going to be. It comes from the Ministry of Transportation. They don't just send you, greeting cards.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Remembering You, the coaching program. As a published author of a spiritual self-help book, it was crucial for me to bring to my readers a program that would help them go deeper into their emotional healing and release childhood trauma. This program includes journaling therapy, soma breathwork, and hypnotherapy to help investigate, release, and reprogram. Go to lettersbyellie.com to learn more. And now, back to the show.
Yeah. So I only opened it when I was with her at lunch that day, and that allowed me to really have a guide, someone who could tell me, look, you're probably shocked right now, and soon you'll be mad, and it's okay to be mad. You should cry, you should yell. She really not only gave me permission, but told me what would likely happen. And so as each of those emotions of grief and processing came through, I knew to expect it. I knew that it was going to happen, and that helped to normalize a very not normal situation.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And then I kept it a secret, the fact that I had narcolepsy, for a long time. I told almost no one. I was really afraid what people would think, right? That I'd started a business so I could make money and be self-sufficient, because most people with narcolepsy live below the poverty line. I include in my book a whole bunch of stats. I remember looking them up at the time, and I think I actually blocked out just how bad some of them were until I was doing the research for the book, and I read them again, and it's like, wow, like people with narcolepsy don't really stand much of a chance. And yet I managed to overcome that and be more successful than the average person my age who's normal, whatever normal means.
For sure.
So I hid it for a long time, though. I was afraid of losing what I had built if people found out my dirty little secret. And that takes a lot of work to hide yourself like that. I was capable, I was doing the work, but all my extra time and energy was put into worry and fear rather than growth and potential. And it wasn't until I accidentally, again, little universe gift, I think, got outed. I didn't have a choice. I had to either lose the money I'd invested into a high-end business event or show up there with my service dog for narcolepsy. And the current one is back there. That's a 130-pound dog. Everyone's going to notice if you walk in with that. Oh yeah. Yeah. One day my secret was out, and I, pretty much overnight had to get over the shame, the fear, because secret's out. There's no point in worrying about that anymore.
For sure. And also the dog that you had at the time was like, it was a rescue dog, right? Your Great Dane?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, Max.
I just love I love the stories of him. It was really nice to see how, again, dogs are so intuitive, and what he was doing as well with, and I don't want to say everything because I want people to read your book and have
I know.
But I am gonna say that Max really went to he stole my heart. He stole my heart for sure, because I'm a very big animal lover, and I could relate to that. And I just know how animals are so protective, and they're so smart. And so, yeah, you're gonna have to read her book to know a little bit more about Max, but it's a beautiful part of the book.
Thank you. You've got me like teary. My eyes are all sparkly in the camera now. Not makeup. Max is a very, very, very special boy, and him and I worked through a lot together, let's just say. Yeah. And the end result is nothing less than incredible. Great, even.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because when you think about it, it was kind of, it's just a relationship. And you were as well very, going through this period of your life. I mean, it's very destabilizing for anyone around someone, like even your dog, like the dog to be trained, and especially a rescue dog. So you both were kind of like being so patient with each other, right? And getting to know each other through all of this, and his stuff, and then when you're stuff, it really felt like a relationship, right?
Oh, so much. Yeah. Max, I always say, other than my husband, Max is the love of my life. Like, he's gone now, and I still like, it's such deep love. And yeah, I've always been a dog lover, but before him, I didn't know just how deep and powerful and connected an animal-human relationship can be.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. And so your new dog now is still
another Great Dane.
And another rescue.
No, this one, I figured you only get that lucky to get a dog that incredible randomly given to you by the universe once. So this time around, I got a Great Dane from one of the best breeders in Canada, an ethical preservation one. They do health testing and all the stuff that matters if you're going to purchase a dog. And she's incredible. She came very unlike Max's story. She came knowing her name. She was potty trained. She could already sit and come, compared to Max, who, well, he was potty trained. He had that going for him at age 3, and that was about it when we started together.
That's beautiful. And I can relate because I had dogs all my life, right? And my last one I had, she was just, oh my God, so hard to train as well for so many things. And so I can relate totally. And, I could train her because I had a lot of abilities to, like I didn't have any condition like you have, but oh my God, like because I was alone as well, I didn't have a partner.
So much harder.
It's really difficult to train a dog on your own. The thing with me is I'm so I just want to cuddle the dog all the time. I just want her to be with me all the time, and always, and as much as I would train her in her cage, and I was for that because I knew that, it's good for them to have their little space. She was really good at that, but she was so dominant, and I got to know that it was my fault because I was giving her too much affection and too much love.
Too much love.
I was like, I'm not good at this because I just love them so much. I always want them on me, but she needed a lot of discipline, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's like any relationship, right? You decide what each of you wants and needs, and you negotiate it. And part of what I love about dogs is actually when you really watch them and try and figure out what they're thinking, because they do think, they feel, there's no question about this. It can give you great insight into humans in general and yourself. So an example that always resonates with me is I read that it takes up to 5 seconds for a dog to process what you're thinking, and up to another 5 for them to decide how they want to act. So for things like sit, come, their name, it's such second nature, right? Yeah. But they say to compare it to more like a 2-year-old human, and how they need a second, and you can kind of, if you really watch their eyes, you can see them thinking.
Processing, yeah.
It's the same for dogs. Yeah. And a lot of people don't give enough patience or time for the dog to comprehend and react. And that's been something I've tried to carry over to people, especially young ones, but even adults. Yeah. Are we really all able to instantly respond within a second, or is it reasonable to take a moment process, and then respond.
Yeah, it would be better if everybody would take a moment and respond, because we are so conditioned to respond super quickly, and because of our triggers and our patterns inside of us. So absolutely, we could take that example for everybody, for sure. It's wonderful, and I'd love for you to share with us, like, throughout all of that, like, you managed to talk about the business that you now have, and what you managed to create, despite the circumstances, because I do talk about that a lot. And I say that, we are so much bigger than our circumstances. But so for sure that you kept your power, at least you build your power, despite your circumstances. So I'd like for you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. I started a website development and automation company 12 years ago now. And that was based on a skill set I had grown previously. And it started as just me. And then it grew enough that I didn't need a part-time job anymore. It could be just the business. And then it grew enough that I could have a part-time employee. And then my husband actually joined me. He left Apple's special projects team, which is their super fancy top secret group. And he joined me because he saw how much happier I was and the value that we were giving to local business owners. And the team grew from there. It's been as large as 7. And it's I get to travel to all kinds of places and work with amazing people. And by this time next year, it should be making $1 million in a year. So
that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. And can you tell us a little bit about, like, in what range of age you are now?
I'm currently 33.
Oh, wow. And so that's amazing, because you started this 12 years ago, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So that was not too long after you had been diagnosed, right?
Yeah, right at that exact period.
Wow, that's beautiful. See, another gift.
Yep. Oh, it is. Yeah, I knew I needed control over my day-to-day life, when I could work. And at the time, it was about how well I could hide my secret. Because if other people had to dictate when, you're in a business, you work for the government, anything like that, there could be a team meeting at 9 a.m. and you have to be there and you can't fall asleep on the table. That would be bad. Versus for me, I just wouldn't have times available in my scheduling app before 10:30 because I know that can be too early on a particularly bad day. So early on, it was about hiding and the flexibility to hide. And after the secret was out, it became to have the flexibility to thrive instead.
Wow. And now would you say that you really feel like you can always be your authentic self in all of this, and you've kind of, in a way, remembered who you really were, because it is all about remembering you. But can you say that you have moments like you have that confidence, like, now?
Definitely. And I think that's where Max was such a gift in all of this, because when you have a service dog, particularly such a large one, and even more so when you look normal, which I'm told I do, you can't hide, right? I'm like going to get butter at the grocery store and guarantee at least one person's going to come up to me and be like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Like, there's no hiding. You're always on display. And to be able to thrive, I had to very quickly become comfortable with that and embrace it. So, that threw me into the deep end quickly. And I think that was a gift, because I was able to get comfortable fast and now be able to share and be an advocate. We've been on TV a couple times. It's me. Yeah. It's who I am. And as soon as I wasn't hiding it, I didn't have a slow roll like a lot of people. Mine was hidden, public. That's it.
That's beautiful.
I love it. I love it all. And I'm super excited for your book to be coming out. So we're going to have a chance to share all of this. But before we do, I always do something with my guests near the end of the podcast. And so I have a book that just came out too, as you know, and it's called Letters from You to You. So it's composed of 21 letters, and it's all written from the perspective of your higher self, as if you're reading your higher self speaking to you directly. So I have themes with all of my letters, and I do believe that you have my book.
I sure do.
You must be familiar with the letters, although yeah, that's awesome. Although, so you're not allowed to cheat. Although I don't remember my letters by heart. I mean, like the themes of my letters, I don't know still them by heart. So I want you to pick a number from 1 to 21, please.
13.
13. I think I know what it is, but I'm gonna take these. Okay, number 13 is we haven't spoken about that. It is called I Am Your Soulmate. So it's all about, and I don't know if you've gone to that letter yet, but it's all about understanding that, that the higher part of yourself should be your soulmate, right? Because it is the biggest love of who you are. So how can you relate to this theme in your own life?
That's good. It's just weirdly, appropriately, the one that came up. It's one thing that wasn't in the book that my mother had said that she thought it should be. So that's magical, isn't it? So in previous relationships, prior to the marriage that I'm in now, I couldn't really be my full self. In some, it was that, they had a very religious set of parents. And so I couldn't, I had to be that, for that particular religion, or that they were not as ambitious as me. So I had to tone it down a bit. With one, I was making more than him and he did not like that. So I had to make sure to spend more so that we could be more equal. And it was all, none of them were bad people at all. I have nothing bad to say. And they weren't right for me because I couldn't truly be my authentic self.
Yeah.
And when I met Nabil, who's now my husband, we got married on the 1-year anniversary of our first date.
Aww.
1 year. And it's because we could both be ourselves so deeply. We both encourage that, the good, the bad, the other. We understand each other very deeply. And we're always growing and learning, of course. And that's what makes it, to me, I'm pretty sure it says in the chapter, there's no perfect relationship. And yet I feel like it's the perfect one for me to be in.
Yeah.
It's a gift to have someone who supports you so deeply and accepts your support of them in the same way.
Yeah. And as you're talking, it's because I feel like you've understood that, you love yourself first. And by loving yourself so much first, then you can have someone who complements you and not completes you. And so the relationship can be really, really strong because both partners, they know that their first love is themselves, and then they can be in love with each other as a relationship. So I do believe that you found something like that, and I'm super happy for you. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's a gift. It's a gift.
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because that again brings hope to a lot of people out there that do have, whether it's, narcolepsy, or that
you're perfect. You got it.
or whatever condition. When you accept yourself fully, despite again your circumstances and what has been going on within your life, and I think that someone else can see that can see your confidence, and this is why it's easier now to have a match, you know,
Definitely.
that will be able to accept everything that you are, because now you can also receive it because you're receiving that from yourself first. So I do see.
Definitely.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
I'm very happy that you came on here and shared all of this. And I would like for you to just tell us quickly, how can people find you?
So my website is Michelle Weger, MichellWeger.com. By the same name on Facebook, or on Instagram, it is Dane on a Plane, like Great Dane, Dane on a Plane. And the links to my book and my business and everything else can be found on either of those.
Perfect. And I'm sure that you are all going to tell us when the book is going to come out, when it's going to be released. You're going to have some posts going up and everything. And actually,
Absolutely.
I believe that this show is going to be near your release, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Should be.
It should be.
Again, amazing timing.
Yes, amazing timing. So thank you, my friend. And I wish you all the best with your future projects. And I'm going to be looking at you and seeing what you're going to be doing, and going and to speak on other stages about all of this beautiful journey you've been on. And I'm so very happy for you, and thank you for inspiring other women like you, or other men that have as well discovered that they have that. So it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.